Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over a 2020 Ram 1500 Limited Eco Diesel. And the reason I wanted to go over this truck is this is the most expensive truck that you can pretty much configure today. If you do an Eco Diesel with the black appearance package, which this one obviously doesn't have, but let's just pretend for example's sake, if you do that truck with the black appearance package and every option added, it adds up to like $76,000 MSRP, which is ridiculous for a half-ton truck. But anyways, we're going to do a quick walk around on the truck, then we're going to take it out to see how it drives. A big shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Dodge Ram here in Provo, Utah for providing us with the Ram. Check out their inventory in the link below. To the hood here, we have the 3-liter Eco Diesel that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 21 around town and 29 on the highway, with power outputs being 260 horsepower and then 480 pound-feet of torque. Let's go over things on the front end of the Eco Diesel 1500. So you have the regular bulges in the middle of the hood, just like all the other Rams. You got the little badging there on the front. And just like any other Limited, you've got the accent LEDs that go above and below the headlights, and then the projector LEDs, fog lamps below, which are also LEDs. And then you've got all the parking sensors in the front, and then the Limited's unique front grille. And then you can actually see a little camera there in between the little legs of the A. Tow hooks are up front, and then this one has the body colored bumper group. Coming around to the side here, we've got two 75mm tires on 20-inch rims, and then note that the truck is actually higher here in the front and the rear. I've got the air suspension in the off-road 2 settings. You guys can see how high it actually goes, but you can see the little canister there for the air suspension. Just a little wheel well. 1500 Eco Diesel badging on the side, and then Limited that goes all the way down the little side right there, and then the Ram badging. And I'm going to take a step back so you guys can see the stance of the truck with the air suspension. It pretty much makes the truck look like it would look if it had a leveling kit on it. Here's our key fob for the truck. So you have a couple functions. You got your unlock, your lock, your tailgate release, remote start, and then the air suspension drop down button, which I'll show you guys that in a moment. But we'll do the remote start, so just press that twice. First time we'll lock it, second time we'll start it up. You can hear the little 3-liter V6 come to life, and then if you press that again, that'll shut it off. Now the next thing is the tailgate release, so we press that button twice. That'll slow lower down the tailgate. The Limiteds will come standard with bed liner in the rear. This particular one is a 5'7" bed. You've got the bed utility group, so it has those little cargo sliders, and then you've got the little LED bed lights, which that button right there will turn them on or off from the outside. Cargo light obviously up above, and then here's kind of like a full-on look with the bed. Now the actual tailgate itself, lifting it up, it's not that multi-function tailgate or anything, so it's very light, easy to put into place. And then we'll finish with the stylistic things in the rear. So obviously we got the Limited 4x4 badging, all the normal stuff, and then the taillights full LEDs. This little part of the light is actually a sensor, but yeah, it's cool, like little wraparound LEDs. Dual outlet exhaust even on the Eco Diesel here, and then you do get parking sensors at the bottom of the bumper, and then the back bumpers are going to be body painted as well with that body painted bumper group. Says it in the name. Just want to mention a couple random things. So you've got a little kick step, and that'll just help getting in and out of the bed, make it a whole lot easier. So you just kick that out, and then when you're done, just kick it back in. This one has had mud flaps added to it, so it's a nice little touch. Obviously that'll protect the paint because it'll kind of hold up all the rocks. And that does have little mud flaps in the front as well. And then this is the little gas cap. You just got to press it in, and then we can see where you fill in the diesel and then where you fill in the DEF. Like, I'd put that Lowrider song on right now, but I'd obviously get copyrighted, so I can't put any music while this is happening. But we can see the truck as it's slowing down, so all I have to do is press that function twice, and then the truck will slow lower down. Hopefully if I just stand here at the same space, you guys can kind of see as it's going down to the lower height. It'll do kind of like front to rear, as you notice, and it'll give you a signal once it's finally done, but we'll just kind of wait for another moment.
Available service advisor, lighting 1. Available service advisor, lighting 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Just kidding. But wait for it. We're almost there. Now I guess this gives you guys kind of like a frame of how long it takes to go from the highest suspension setting to the lowest suspension setting. And it is pretty cold outside, so yeah. And if I had a watch on, I'd, you know, obviously check it out. Oh, now we're done. And now we're in lowrider mode. Now if we open up the door, the running boards will pop out, and I mean, they're basically touching the ground when it's in this lower suspension setting. Now the door panel in the back is really nice for a truck. Most truck manufacturers will cheap out in the back, but they don't do it in Ram. They got all the nice leather all throughout the door panel, all the nice wood trim with the nice stitching. All of that is in the back as well as the front. This does have the Harman Kardon sound system. Now here are the seats in the rear of the Limited. Really nice soft leather, just all the premium stuff with the nice kind of embroidering all throughout. And then you do have this little center console, so you can kind of pull that down. It does have a little bit extra storage there, cup holders on the front of it. And then we do get the actual kind of center console area. So cup holders at the top with the wood trim right in this little area, heated ventilated seats, full power outlets, all that. We've got the floor mats that go across, and then we can pick up the seat. So there's extra storage under the seat, and there are ice buckets in here. And then I'm gonna throw the keys in because we're gonna step in. So actually stepping in is really easy. So getting in with those steps makes it really easy. And then also the fact that it's basically on the ground. Yeah. So I've got this seat roughly where I'd have it while driving, and you have a ton of space back here. So headroom is pretty good. I'm about 5'11", and I fit back here really solidly. But the biggest thing is legroom, and these seats do recline. So I mean, you can just be sitting back here and just chilling for a while. And also, obviously when you recline, you even get more headroom, so it's a win. Got keyless entry here at the front, so one touch to lock it, and then to unlock it again, just put your hand on the back of the door handle. This one has the power folding mirrors. It does have blind spot monitoring in them. These are the mirrors that I'd recommend if you don't need the trailer mirrors, just because they're really nice, they power fold in, and they give good visibility. But opening up the door, running boards will pop out again. Door panel in the front is identical to the rear with all the materials. The only differences are the controls. So you get like the memory seat controls, all of your window controls, the power folding mirror button, which will fold those in, the mirror adjustments, couple speakers for the Harman Kardon sound system. Now here's the seats in the front. Again, really nice with just the design and just with all the soft touch leather. Controls are gonna be on the side of the seat. Now over here, we're gonna get our pedal adjustments, your parking brake, your light controls with the fog lights and the cargo light, and then the steering wheel is gonna be manually adjustable. And here's one more look at the front cabin. We're gonna start up the EcoDiesel here, so we just put our foot on the brake, push to push start, and if it has to do a diesel preheat, it will, but everything will come to life. It'll say limited in the gauges, and the whole 12-inch display will start right up. Here's the steering wheel on the EcoDiesel 1500. If we zoom in, obviously the Ram logo in the center, we've got all of our controls for the cruise control and the adaptive cruise control. Gear selector right over here. Nice wood trim at the bottom with the contrasted stitching. Really smooth leather with nice wood trim at the top of the steering wheel. All of our controls to the little center pad, voice command controls. Radio controls are on the back of the steering wheel. And then you've got the little stalk for the turn signal, doing the high beams, and then also the windshield wipers. Now I'm going to go over this very briefly, but the biggest thing about the Limited with the gauge cluster is they just kind of up the aesthetic look on the gauge cluster, so they just use a little bit nicer materials for the actual RPM layout. So like this little kind of silver plate that backs it looks really nice. And then another thing is just like the blue contrast all throughout the screens. That's what they have on all of the Limiteds. But this little center part of the screen just gives you vehicle information. It gives you information on the safety tech, fuel economy, all that stuff. And right now it says fuel economy is 14.1. But the truck only has 34 miles on it, so not enough miles to really get an accurate gauge on fuel economy, and that's all. Little charging station up top, and then the 12-inch display. Again, I'm going to kind of briefly go over this because a lot of you guys have already seen this display probably a million times. But your controls to the parking sensors at the bottom, your tow haul mode, stability control, that's your air suspension to raise and lower it, trailer brake controls, analog climate controls on the sides, analog radio controls also on the side. This is the gear selector, so it's just a dial shifter. You guys have all seen the memes with the radio controls. Doesn't actually ever happen in real life. Anyways, two-wheel drive, your four-wheel auto, your four-wheel high, and then your four-wheel low with the true neutral. And then with the rest of the touchscreen, there is some split screen functions. So like on the controls tab with the heated seats and heated steering wheel, which I'm going to turn off, that could be split screen with some other functionality. You can deploy the steps at any time. The backup camera, here's that, so you can see the resolution on it. It does have surround camera, so you do get kind of like the top view, but then you can get a bunch of different views out of the truck. So parking this new Limited 1500, you shouldn't have a single problem with that. And other than that, the touchscreen itself, if you press it properly, is actually really responsive. It's easy to use, and I mean, for a truck, this is really the best infotainment system right now on the market. We've got the center console. It says Limited with the nice embroidering. Again, opening it up, lined with felt. And then opening it up again, we got all the little kind of math tables. This part slides back and forth. One of my favorite functions on it is the fact that you can move this back and forth. I wish that more manufacturers would do consoles like this. Wireless charging down here with a full power outlet and then a couple of USBs. So you literally can charge like a million devices. Mathematically correct. Anyways, we've got wood trim here on the glove box, and it is a dual glove box. felt on that, and then also felt on that one as well. I like that they didn't cheap out. They put nice leather kind of below the glove box, nice wood on the glove box, and then nice leather above the glove box. Universal garage door openers are up top. We do have a power sliding rear window, which I will do the whole window for you guys so you can see that all function out and the camera freak out. Panoramic sunroof, which I'll just do the, oh wait, wrong button. I'll just do the shade for you guys. But this just lets a little bit more light into the cabin, and you can open up just the shade, or you can open up the sunroof and the shade goes all the way back. So if I press that again, that'll go all the way to the rear. And then the headliner here on the Limited is completely black, so it matches the bottom of the truck, which is nice. Now that we are done going over the interior on this Limited EcoDiesel, let's talk about pricing. So this particular Limited 1500 EcoDiesel stickers for about $70,000 for any type of market adjustment, which, I mean, it's the price of like a Ford Raptor. It's the price of like a 2500 Laramie diesel. It's expensive, but let's take this Limited out, see how it drives. So before we set off here in the EcoDiesel 1500, let's talk about visibility. So visibility of the hood, just like any other Ram, really easy to see out of. And then you can see visibility through both of the mirrors. And then you can see visibility all throughout the rear, and then also through the sunroof. But, oh wait, we're already in drive. Let's set off. And initially setting off here, what I want to talk about is the noise that I hear from the diesel engine, because I'm sure a lot of people will be worried, hey, does it sound like a real diesel? And yes, you get that diesel chugging. It's kind of at like a higher pitch, or kind of like a higher, or I should say higher, I guess I could say higher rumble. It's just like a big diesel, like the Cummins is like this big low rumble, or is this kind of like a lighter rumble? Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, it sounds like a diesel, but definitely can tell it's a smaller diesel. Initially setting off here, let's talk about the road noise and ride quality. So in terms of the ride quality, just like any other Ram 1500, it's super smooth. This is probably the smoothest truck on the market right now, just from a ride quality standpoint. It just soaks up the bumps so well. It's just such a nice vehicle. It's kind of more like a luxury truck than anything else, and obviously the Limited, that's kind of what it's going for. So Ram has nailed it with that kind of like luxury truck stance. But in terms of the actual road noise itself that comes through into the cabin, there's a little bit from the engine. Like I said, you can definitely hear that's a diesel engine, you hear some. But other than that, wind noise is pretty minimal. Tire noise is pretty much non-existent, actually. I don't really hear any at all, and so it's a very well insulated cabin. And obviously when you go over bumps, you will hear those, but just a little bit. We're gonna get an acceleration here, so we're just taking a quick turn, and then we're gonna give it all of everything. It's got a good torque off the line. It shifts through the gears very quickly, and so you actually get up to speed really quick because it just rides on that torque. 480 pound-feet of torque is a good amount, and this truck, you can tell that they've kind of, I don't know if they've retuned the gearing or what they've done, but you can tell that this truck definitely plays off of its torque factor, because as soon as it gets up into a little bit higher RPMs where it wouldn't be in max torque anymore, it just pretty much shifts, so then you're in max torque again, and yeah, then it makes it accelerate really, really solid. But to sum things up here on the EcoDiesel Limited, I mean, this truck's kind of a mixed bag, right? Most people get the Limited because they'd want something that's, you know, kind of like fast and fun and luxurious. But what I am gonna say is the EcoDiesel actually makes this truck more luxurious compared to the Hemi. And the reason I say that is you drive this truck differently. When you drive a Hemi, you're kind of always like pedal down, going hardcore with it, right? Whereas with this EcoDiesel, since it has so much torque, you're not really as much pedal down driving as you are kind of like easing into it. So you're not gonna have as much engine noise, and it's just gonna be kind of more like a smooth, luxurious driving experience rather than just like trying to go fast. Hopefully that makes sense. But I mean, I owned a 2019 Rebel with the Hemi, and I've driven enough of these EcoDiesels that I feel like this is kind of more like a luxury based engine. I think that's kind of like the best application for it. There we have it, everyone. The all new 2020 Ram 1500 Laramie with the EcoDiesel. It's a really cool truck, especially if you want to get better fuel economy and all that kind of stuff. But as always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Provo for providing us with the Limited. If you're in the market for new Dodge, check out the inventory in the link below. If you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, and then I'll see all of you in that next video.